we don't need roads.
Mr. Columbus, what an honor, sir. How are you today?
Hey, Jake, how you doing?
I'm doing
Chicago,
so awesome.
my second hometown.
I know, we love you. I got so many questions for you. I'm going to try to jump into this. I got to say, starting out with Harry Potter, you had a task that no other Harry Potter director had really to concern themselves with, and that's casting Harry, Ron, and Hermione. Looking back, having 20 years to think about it and reflect on what you pulled off, how the hell did you do that? Because that's some of the most, not just in terms of just the actor to the part, but just how great of kids they were over the course of 8 films.
Yeah, I am so envious of like the 4th director who got to just go on the set and have fun. There's not much left to do except move the camera. But I was, once I got the job, there was about 20 seconds of euphoria. And then I was filled with terror, anxiety, because I knew the entire world was looking at this book series. If I screwed it up, I'd be in the witness protection program. So it was important for me to get it right. And I still had that sense of anxiety when I went to meet with J.K. Rowling when I first got the job. And she said, "What's your vision for the film?" And I talked about it for 2.5 hours. And she said at the end of that conversation, "That's exactly the way I see the film." And as a result of that, I felt tremendous amount of confidence because she was basically backing my vision of the film.
Who's the most famous kid that did not get the role of Harry Potter?
We weren't looking for famous kids. I had people were suggesting famous kids at the time, and I thought, no, Harry Potter has to be someone we've never seen before or seen very little of. So I really, there were no surprises there. I wanted to go with an original, sort of very green cast. Because it's like we did on Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
Because they bring a sense of naturalism and honesty in their performances, even though it's sometimes a little tough to get the performances. But when you get them, it's something real, and that's great.
Absolutely. 20 years later, I feel like every once in a while, I see this conversation, this rumbling about whether or not they're going to reboot or remake the series. To me, these films are perfect. They don't need to be remade. I think they are as they are. So 2 questions for you. Do you think they'll ever be remade, and should they ever be remade?
I can't answer the first. I don't know. In this version of Hollywood that we live in, everybody's remaking everything and rebooting everything. I mean, there's a Home Alone reboot coming out. So I feel the same way. What's the point? The movie exists. Let's just live with the movie that existed. There's no point in any of us ever remaking The Wizard of Oz. There's no point in any of us remaking the classic films. Make something original because we need more original material. So no point.
I agree with you 100%. Obviously, after Sorcerer's Stone, you came back for one more. Is there any other film in the series that you most look at and gone, that would have been cool to have directed that one?
Yeah, I thought I was going to stay for all 7 initially, and then each film was 160 days back to back. So basically, after 320 days of shooting, I could barely form a sentence. So I knew I had to produce Azkaban. So while I was producing Azkaban, I thought maybe I'll do the 4th. But then at that point, kids wanted to get back to their family in Chicago and go to school. And so I thought I'll probably return for something later on down the line. It never happened, but I do wish I had probably Deathly Hallows, but that's my favorite of the series. And I think that David Yates did a perfect job, so you didn't need me.
Fair enough. As we're wrapping up, because they're about to give me the wrap, obviously I'm talking to you from Chicago, which means I'm about 20 miles east of one of the most famous houses in the history of pop culture, which is the Home Alone house. I'm sort of curious what that house means to you, what that home means to you. I mean, people still drive by and take pictures in front of it. And where do you think Kevin is at today?
Well, that house to me was it was a point in my career where I didn't think I was going to direct again. I had come off of a movie that did not do well, but John Hughes gave me the job. And that house really represents the rebirth of me as a filmmaker in terms of being able to have a longevity as a director. I went back to the house with my family a few years ago in Chicago. We were visiting my brother-in-law, and he's close to that house. And I said, let's just see what's going on. So we brought the family, and my kids and I took a picture in front of the house doing this. And I was geeking out at the house. It was just a kind of an emotional experience. I don't know where Kevin is today. It's possible he's on that TV series Succession. That may be his brother, but I know where Fuller is. He's on Succession.
Wow, So by any chance, did the owners of the house, I mean, I'm sure they're so used to people coming by and doing that same photo. Did the owners of the house know you were there?
I didn't know because they have since put a fence around the house. So
Right.
you can't really get that close to it. I was not going to be that guy who knocks on the door and says, I directed the movie. We didn't shoot any of the interiors, by the way, in that house. So
Sure.
we built it all in the New Trier, I think, the high school. But no, the owners, and they did a smart thing. They kept the house as it was. The Mrs. Doubtfire house in San Francisco, they repainted, so nobody knows what it is anymore. But yeah, I'm glad the owners kept that Home Alone house up and running.
Absolutely. Mr. Columbus, I just want to thank you for your time, but also like you've been such a big part of not just my childhood, but my love of movies today as a grown man. And you've been the architect of so much of my happiness. And I just want to thank you for that, sir.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to talk to you.
All right.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.